Hello, and welcome to the This Happened Today in History podcast for February 16th. I am your host, Mr. Miller. This podcast will cover a number of topics that happened on this date in history. Please visit the podcast webpage at thishappenedtoday.buzzsprout.com. There you can download the notes page, which will help you organize the information as well as develop your own ideas on how these events change the world around us. If you are interested in hearing more, please consider subscribing so you will not miss out on what happened tomorrow in history. Event number 1 happened in 2005 when the National Hockey League officially canceled its 2004-2005 season after salary negotiations failed between the players and the clubs. A lockout began in September of 2004, and the season of 1,230 games was set to begin in October. By February, with no end in sight, the NHL commissioner decided to cancel the entire season. This marked the first time since 1919 that the Stanley Cup was not awarded during a season. According to the International Ice Hockey Federation, as many as 388 NHL players traveled to Europe to play on various teams during the lockout. Many other officials, players, and other workers were forced to take up different occupations during the lockout. Negotiations were eventually successful, and the NHL played in the 2005-2006 season. In 1937, Franklin Delano Roosevelt spoke out about the problem regarding farm tenancy. He had made it known that more and more farmers were unable to purchase the home where they lived, and they were forced to rent instead of owning. Around this time, there were over 3 million tenant families, totaling approximately 15 million people overall. Also, about 40,000 people each year were losing their farms due to debt and then becoming tenants. Before tractors, farmers were using horses to work the land, and once the horses got tired, the workday ended. This only allowed farmers to work a certain size of land based on the number of horses that they were able to raise. Food was grown at a few acres per horse, which shrunk the size of the farm used for profit. As tractors were invented, some farms were able to purchase them with funds received from the New Deal. Once owned, the tractor could do the work of many horses. The landowner could rent the tractor to the tenant farmer or force the tenants off the land altogether. Adding to the issue was the fact that many farmers were in debt when the Depression hit and were forced to sell their farms to neighbors who were then able to work more land. FDR wanted to see it at this time that action be taken to help farmers keep their homes and farms. In 1983, a total of 24 brush fires started and spread across South Australia on this date. These fires had killed at least 75 people and injured another 800. The cause of the fire was the extremely hot and dry climate that occurred in the 10 months prior to this event. Even though the fires in this area are somewhat common, these fires were considered different because they had affected highly populated areas. More than 3,000 buildings were destroyed and over 400,000 hectares were burned by more than 180 total fires. According to the news, the temps were around 100 degrees Fahrenheit and the winds were blowing in excess of 60 miles per hour. This caused the fire to move at an extreme speed and also allowed it to change directions very quickly. Many people tried to save their homes, but the fire moved too fast. The drought and weather combined to create one of Australia's worst fire days in history. You have been listening to the This Happened Today in History podcast for February 16th. I thank you for listening, and I hope that you have enjoyed learning about historical events from our past. Thank you to the following websites for the information regarding today's topics: thepeoplehistory.com and their This Happened Today posts, livinghistoryfarm.org, and the Australian Broadcasting Company at abc.net.au. The music used as background track for this podcast is Americana, created by Kevin MacLeod on Incompetech.com. If you enjoyed this information and would like to hear more, please consider subscribing, as this will keep the historical events in your feed in the morning for each day. I hope you have a great day.